3 easy ways to grow potatoes at home. Did you know you can grow potatoes at home with just a few simple steps? That's right. You don't need a sprawling farm or years of gardening experience to enjoy fresh, homegrown spuds. Whether you have a balcony, a patio, or a backyard, there's a potato growing method for you. Growing your own potatoes is incredibly rewarding. Not only do you get the satisfaction of harvesting your own food, but you also have complete control over the growing process, ensuring they're free from harmful chemicals. Plus, let's be honest, who doesn't love the taste of a freshly dug potato? Now, you might be thinking, that sounds great, but isn't it complicated? Well, it's easier than you think. Sure, some folks run into challenges like limited space or they're not sure where to start, but that's what we're here for. In this video, we'll break down 3 easy methods for growing potatoes at home so you can choose the one that suits you best. First up, let's talk about container gardening. This method is perfect for those with limited space, like apartment dwellers or anyone who wants to grow potatoes on their patio or balcony. The beauty of containers is that you can move them around to follow the sun or protect your plants from harsh weather. Now, you can't just use any old bucket. Okay, maybe you can, but using a proper container designed for growing will make your life a whole lot easier. Look for containers that are at least 12 inches deep and wide to give those potato roots plenty of room to spread out. You want your potatoes to be living large underground. Drainage is key. Soggy potatoes are sad potatoes. Make sure your container has drainage holes to prevent the soil from becoming waterlogged. You can even add a layer of gravel or broken pottery shards to the bottom of the container for extra drainage power. Think of it as building a drainage system for your potato metropolis. Speaking of soil, potatoes prefer loose, well-draining soil that's rich in organic matter. You can use a good quality potting mix specifically designed for vegetables, or you can make your own blend using compost, peat moss, and perlite. Just like us, potatoes appreciate a good, balanced diet. Now, for the main event, planting those potatoes. You'll need seed potatoes, which are just potatoes that have sprouted eyes. You can usually find these at your local garden center in the spring. Each of those little eyes is going to sprout and grow into a whole separate potato plant. Cut your unpeeled seed potatoes into pieces, making sure each piece has at least 1 or 2 healthy eyes. Let the cut pieces sit out for a day or two to allow the cut surfaces to dry and callus over. This helps prevent rotting when they're planted. Plant your potato pieces about 4 inches deep in the soil, with the eyes facing upwards. Water them well and keep the soil consistently moist but not waterlogged. As the potato plants grow taller, you'll need to hill them, which means adding more soil around the base of the plants to cover the stems. This encourages more potato growth underground, which means more potatoes for you. It's like tucking your potatoes in for a good night's sleep. Potatoes are usually ready to harvest about 80 to 100 days after planting, depending on the variety. You'll know it's time when the plants start to flower and the foliage begins to yellow and die back. That's your cue that the potato party is happening down below. Gently loosen the soil around the plants with a garden fork and carefully lift the potatoes out of the container. And there you have it, fresh homegrown potatoes ready to be washed, cooked, and devoured. If you have a bit more space and want to create a dedicated potato growing area, raised beds are an excellent option. Raised beds offer several advantages over traditional in-ground gardening, especially when it comes to growing potatoes. First off, raised beds improve drainage, which is crucial for healthy potato growth. Remember, potatoes and soggy soil don't mix. The elevated structure of a raised bed allows for better water runoff, preventing those precious potatoes from turning into mush. Secondly, raised beds allow you to create the perfect soil blend for your potatoes. You can customize the soil mix to ensure it's loose, fertile, and well-draining, giving your potatoes the ideal environment to thrive. It's like building them a custom potato palace. Building a raised bed is relatively simple. You can use wood, bricks, or even repurposed materials like old pallets. Just make sure the bed is at least 12 inches deep to accommodate those potato roots. If you're feeling ambitious, you can even build multiple raised beds for a bountiful potato harvest. Once your raised bed is built, it's time to fill it with that perfect potato growing mix. Just like container gardening, a combination of topsoil, compost, and peat moss works well. You can also add some aged manure or other organic fertilizers to give your potatoes an extra nutrient boost. When planting your seed potatoes in a raised bed, follow the same spacing guidelines as container gardening. Plant them about 4 inches deep and 12 inches apart, with the eyes facing up. Water them well and keep the soil consistently moist. As the potato plants grow, you'll need to hill them just like you would with container-grown potatoes. Add more soil around the base of the plants to cover the stems and encourage more potato growth underground. It's like giving your potatoes a cozy blanket of soil. One of the great things about raised beds is that they warm up faster in the spring than the ground, allowing you to get a head start on the growing season. This is especially beneficial in cooler climates where the growing season is shorter. It's like giving your potatoes a VIP pass to spring break. Another advantage of raised beds is that they can help deter pests. The elevated structure makes it more difficult for slugs, snails, and other critters to reach your precious potatoes. Plus, you can easily install netting or other barriers to keep out larger pests like rabbits or deer. Harvesting potatoes from a raised bed is a breeze. Simply loosen the soil around the plants with a garden fork and carefully lift the potatoes out of the bed. You'll be amazed at how many potatoes you can grow in a relatively small space. Now let's talk about the classic method of growing potatoes directly in the ground. This method is ideal if you have ample garden space and want to grow a large quantity of potatoes. It's the traditional way to grow potatoes, and it's still a great option for many gardeners. Before you start planting, it's important to choose a sunny location for your potato patch. Potatoes need at least 6 hours of direct sunlight per day to thrive. They're like little sunbathers, soaking up those rays to produce those delicious tubers. Once you've chosen your location, it's time to prepare the soil. Remember, potatoes prefer loose, well-draining soil that's rich in organic matter. If your soil is heavy clay or compacted, you'll need to amend it with compost, peat moss, or other organic materials to improve its texture and drainage. To prepare the soil for planting, dig trenches that are about 6 inches deep and 2 feet apart. You can use a garden hoe or a shovel for this task. Place your seed potatoes in the trenches, spacing them about 12 inches apart, with the eyes facing up. Cover the potatoes with soil and water them well. As the potato plants emerge and grow taller, you'll need to hill them, just like you would with container-grown or raised bed potatoes. Hilling potatoes is essential for maximizing your yield. As the plants grow, their underground stems, called stolons, produce potatoes. Hilling encourages the stolons to produce more potatoes by providing them with more space to grow. It's like giving your potatoes a pep talk to produce more. To hill your potatoes, simply mound soil around the base of the plants, creating a small hill or ridge. You can use a hoe or a shovel to do this. Aim to hill your potatoes at least twice during the growing season, once when the plants are about 6 inches tall, and again when they are about 12 inches tall. As your potato plants grow, keep an eye out for pests and diseases. Potatoes are susceptible to a few common pests, such as Colorado potato beetles, aphids, and flea beetles. You can control these pests by hand-picking them off the plants, spraying them with a strong stream of water, or using insecticidal soap. Potatoes are also susceptible to a few diseases, such as late blight and early blight. These diseases are caused by fungi and can damage the plants and reduce your yield. To prevent these diseases, make sure to rotate your crops, avoid overhead watering, and provide your plants with good air circulation. Harvesting potatoes grown in the ground is similar to harvesting them from containers or raised beds. When the plants start to flower and the foliage begins to yellow and die back, it's time to harvest your potatoes. Carefully loosen the soil around the plants with a garden fork and lift the potatoes out of the ground. Growing potatoes is a rewarding experience for any gardener. Remember, each method has its own advantages, so choose the one that best suits your space, resources, and gardening style. With a little effort and these helpful tips, you'll be enjoying fresh, homegrown potatoes in no time. Now we want to hear from you. Which method are you most excited to try? Or have you grown potatoes before and have some tips you would like to share? Share your experiences, tips, and potato growing triumphs in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more gardening adventures. Happy gardening!